Medieval Times, Chapter 4. Oh, it's raining again, and you are standing in a puddle on the edge of a narrow street. You have entered the town through one of two gates. Inside the walls, there are tiny houses next to each other. And you move through the crowd and you see rats scurrying about. Nearby, you hear people selling fruits, vegetables, eggs, and pies. It's market day, and people have set up their stalls in the town square. As you go through the streets, you hear the sound of church bells. Every hour, it calls people to church. You have seen a town in Europe during the late Middle Ages. Most people lived in the countryside. Towns began to grow and new jobs emerged. And then more and more people left the countryside to live and work in the towns. An increased number of people became involved in business. As a result, this class of people, called the middle class, they grew in importance. Merchants and craftsmen were part of this middle class. Towns grew, and the middle class created successful businesses and successful jobs. Some of the merchants became rich and influential members of the town communities. In order to protect their businesses, the merchants established guilds. G-U-I-L-D-S. Guild is a group. Guilds were organizations made up of merchants, and they controlled wages and the quality of the goods that the merchants sold. The merchants thrived, and the craftsmen, like the carpenters and the paper makers and the glass makers and the blacksmiths. The forge, remember the forge, guys? Right. Skilled craftsmen were important members of the town communities. They made and sold their goods in the towns where they lived and worked. The skilled craftsmen protected their businesses by forming those guilds. The guilds. Only highly skilled craftsmen were invited to join the guilds. Many years of training went into becoming a skilled craftsman. There was a certain pattern to daily life in the towns during the Middle Ages. From Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to Saturday, the towns were busy with the hustle and bustle. Even pickpockets and purse snatchers were there too. Shops opened early, as in 6 a.m. Most towns had market 3 times a week. And the farmers, they sold produce and animals. Merchants and craftsmen usually paid the lords in money or goods. However, they can exchange money or goods. And the lords gave the towns special charter abilities. The charters allowed the townspeople to make their own laws. Over time, this new decision process changed the feudal system. A banking system began to develop. The wealthy churches created schools called universities. It was not long the towns and the cities became terribly overcrowded. People lived in small houses, all crowded together. The towns and cities also had disease. You did not have a toilet inside your home. People used pots and then threw the contents into the streets. Water supplies were made dirty with the waste, and the water carried in it disease. Disease happened a lot. It was common. It's called the Black Death. Do you remember the bugs on the rat? People in the towns cooked on small fires inside their homes. The fires sometimes spread out, and there was difficult to control. The people were required to keep buckets of water just outside their homes, just in case. Many middle-aged towns had walls. People entered or left through the gates. Sometimes there was a fee or tax needed, charged in order to enter the town. A tax collector stood at the gate to collect the fee. You could pay with money or goods. Gates were designed to keep the criminals out or lock the criminals inside so they could be caught. There was no police force. Instead, there were watchmen. The town gates were locked at night when the curfew bell sounded. Gate. If you were an apprentice craftsman, you were sent away, at an early age when you're real little. Your family arranged your training, and you must live in the home of the master, the skilled craftsman. It's not likely that you will return home during your apprenticeship years. Your training takes many years to complete. You will not receive payment for any of the work that you do. You live in his home or in the shop. You eat with his family, and your new family provides the clothes that you wear. And if you are homesick or sad, you still have to obey your master. After some time, you change from apprentice to a journeyman, and you get paid for your work. In several years, maybe you'll take the next step in your career. Maybe you will be ready to submit a piece of your best work to the guild to see if they accept your work. Then you become a master skilled craftsman. Women in the Middle Ages had few legal rights, but a small number of women had the power to influence. Some queens advised their husbands and sons. The Lord's widow could manage the land and make important decisions. Women, could become skilled in some particular craft, and maybe some trained to be merchants. Other women joined the church and became nuns. Many women worked right beside their husbands in the fields. It didn't matter if they were in a privileged class or serfs. Women managed their families' daily needs.